We have a great guest today, a great friend of mine, big brother, former NFL legend, 11-year veteran, 8 years for the Jets, Super Bowl champion, and THC marijuana advocate, Mr. Marvin Washington. How you doing, my brother?
Hey man, just up here in the Northeast, northern New Jersey, trying to stay sheltered in place, man. The storm came through and hit my neighborhood pretty hard, with trees and power lines down. But, we came out okay, but my neighbors some of them still don't have power, it's just a couple blocks away. But outside of that, man, just trying to stay healthy and follow the protocol that has been put in place for us.
Yeah, I mean, I see that you've been staying active yourself, during this quarantine time. I don't know if you guys have seen Marvin. He's been out of the league for a long time, but he's in great shape, great physical specimen. And I see that you're keeping yourself in shape still during this quarantine.
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to follow your lead. Yeah, don't try to put it all on me, man. I watch your workouts, man, and they're inspirational, man. They really are, man, because as well as I do, a lot of guys leave the game and they don't take care of themselves. And the guys that do, they're able to have a quality of life that they can enjoy with their friends and their family, because I've always said that your wealth is in your health, and so that's what I'm going to try to do, man, and work out. And even when I don't work out, man, I try to do something every day if I'm not doing a structured workout, because my body degrades and I feel better. Working out for me is oil for the tin man.
Yeah.
It helps my body better.
Well, Marvin, one of the reasons why I'm able to continue to work out so consistently, and my wife the same way, is I got a nice little package from you, and it has some goods in there. Could you tell everyone about your business and what you've been up to post football?
Well, post football, I went into the financial services when I retired in 2000, but then in 2014, I found out about the cannabis plant and the medicinal benefits of it, particularly with the two main cannabinoids in it, THC and CBD. And I'm a big proponent of the whole plant, but CBD has a lot of medicinal benefits, particularly with athletes. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's anti-anxiety. It helps you modulate and deal with pain. The government has a patent that says it's a neuroprotectant for the brain in relationships to concussion. So it's like having a mini helmet on, and it's protecting your brain, whether you're in football or UFC or boxing or any contact sport. And then the other thing is cannabis, CBD, THC, whenever it's introduced into a community, the opiate addiction goes down anywhere from 15 to 25%. And I know everybody in the NFL talks about CTE, but the other wicked thing that is befallen on our alumni, the 20,000 former players, is opiate addiction, because former football players are 4 times as more likely to abuse opiates than general society. And we know what's happening with general society, because it's not missing anybody. It's no respecter of who you are, where you live, what you're doing. Middle America, on the coast, Bible Belt, whatever, it's hitting everything, but it's hitting our community. And so I feel like if these players are able to get introduced to this plant, because it's not a performance enhancing drug. World Anti-Doping Association has said that, WADA, with the way they've done it, they govern all the Olympic sports. They let their athletes use it. So I want to eventually see the 4 majors and all alternative sports get to that point as an alternative to opiates. And Eric, as well as I do, if you have an acute injury where you're tearing a muscle or breaking a finger or whatever, yeah, you need some pain blockers and you need pain pills or whatever, but you don't need them for the whole season. You don't need to get on this opiate regime of anti-inflammatory pain blockers, taking epidural shots from July all the way to January. Now you extrapolate that over my career and your career, you're talking about 20 years. And then some guys are not able to cut off that spigot. And that's why they have a problem, with addiction of their former players. So I just want to have an alternative. I believe cannabis is medicine.
As you guys know, we are talking to ex-NFL player, our guest, Marvin Washington, 11-year vet, played for the New York Jets, San Francisco, and Denver. Marvin, you were voted from Sports Illustrated as the 36th best New York Jet of all time. Tell us a little bit about your Jet career as a New York Jet.
Uh, my Jet career, I had some great teammates, some good teammates. You know, looking back on it, we had some very good coaches. One of them is still in the well, two of them are still in the league. Ed Donatel, that's the defense coordinator for Bronco,
I love
and of
Ed.
course Pete Carroll. Yeah, easy Ed, and of course Pete Carroll over at the Seahawks. And we had a young team, but we were never able to get over the hump. We got some injury bugs, but that's part of the game. That's no excuses. But the biggest thing that I got from the Jets is coming from the Palouse, which Eric knows. We
Oh,
went
yeah.
to school. His school and ours like 8 miles apart. But coming from there and coming to New York and living in Long Island, it made me grow up because my family was in Texas, and some of the people that I made in the Jet organization and in administration, they're still friends of mine to this day. And I grew up as a man and learning about New York City and the restaurants and the art and the culture and all that New York City has to offer. I got to learn about that, and I still have connections. I still have restaurants in New York City that I've been going to since 1989, my rookie year. So it was wonderful, living out in Long Island and then having access to the city. Living out in Long Island when I was married and I had kids of school age and whatever, it was fine, man. I look back on that time with fond memories, except some of the seasons that we have because you know it's not measured by how hard you work in the off season, because I believe we work very hard, and how good your scheme is and how good your individual defense is. The NFL is bottom line, it's wins and losses, and we didn't get it done.
Don't confuse effort with results. That's what one of my coaches used to always tell me. Don't confuse effort with results. But talking about going back to those coaches, Ed Donatel. A funny story about Ed is when I was here with the Jets in my fourth year, Eric Mangini was the coach. I was the starting safety the first 3 years, and I had kind of fallen out of favor with him. And Ed Donatel had just left Atlanta. He was, just volunteering with the Jets. Ed Donatel saved my career. I was in a point where, I wasn't playing on defense. It was very frustrating for me. And Ed would sit in the back of the defensive back room with me and go over techniques. He would draw up quizzes for me. I would go out in the scout team, and he would give me something to work on every day. He's like, listen, the next team you play for, you're going to have to develop these skills. So I know you're on scout team right now. Let's go work on cornerback. Let's go work on your technique. And Ed really kept my morale up and kept me moving forward and really helped grow my career.
No, I think the world. I think the world of Ed, because in college, Ed was at Idaho. I met Ed when I was 20 years old, and he was a defensive back coach at Idaho, and his wife Sherry was our head cheerleader coach. And then I got drafted, and he stayed at Idaho. And then the next year, when they changed the regime and got Pete Carroll as a defensive coordinator, he brought Ed on as a defensive back coach. And if people don't know about the cradle of coaches that came from Pacific, because we had about 3 or 4 of them. But you had Bruce Kozlick, Pete Carroll, Sam Weiss, Art Flores, Tom Flores. You had all these coaches come from Pacific University, and they call it the cradle of coaches, and they were spread throughout the NFL, and we just have to have a few, and Ed is one of those coaches. And I love, hearing stories about that, but I love good coaches and good people, and Ed is definitely one that falls into that category of hitting both marks as being a good person and a great coach.
As you guys know, we are talking to ex-NFL player Marvin Washington, 11-year vet, played for the Jets and the San Francisco 49ers and the Denver Broncos. What is it like winning a Super Bowl? In 1998, you won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, John Elway, with that team under a great coach. What was it like actually winning a Super Bowl and getting the opportunity to hoist that Lombardi trophy?
I just think, that was my 10th year in the league. And I think the football gods were blessing me because, I was a professional football player, and I felt like I played the game right, and I showed up on time, and I showed up in shape and what have you. And I just felt like the football gods were giving me a reward for the previous 8 years that I spent in New York, and had some 4-12s and 3-13s and 1-15 seasons. And it was a wonderful time, and I just felt like it was accumulation of everything that you work for in the off season, all the hard work you're doing in practice and execution and sacrificing and whatever. It felt good, and even felt better because we beat the Jets in the AFC Championship game, and yeah, that felt good. But winning the Super Bowl, I wish every player would get to experience that, because ultimately that's what you're playing for, is to be the ultimate winner at the end of the season. And I got to experience it, and it was a wonderful experience.